Hello, everyone. Happy Labor Day, and welcome to the Canon podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on the lore, the narrative, and the big ideas of the galaxy far, far away. My name is Matthew. I'm coming from Underworld North Studios in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where we do celebrate Labor Day as well. As always, I'm joined from across the continent by your friend and my Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, how are you doing this week?
Yeah, you could have still said High Republic considering what my week in Star Wars is.
But you're still salty about that. Eh? There we
Yes,
go.
I'm kidding. I'm just gonna keep the joke going for as long as I can.
We have there is in a few weeks we will bring it back for a very special reason. I promise I'll bring it back. But yeah, for right now, there you go. This week though, we're talking about ritual and material, cultural adaptation, genuine faith. It's my day job. Things that mark real world communities. Things that marked terrible writing there, Matthew. Things that mark real world communities marked by metaphysical beliefs, what we call religions nowadays. The question is, how well does Star Wars depict them and their communities, at least analogously? Does it show widespread beliefs and practices, or confine them to a select few people, select few folks? When does it explore the relationship between the elites and the masses of a religious hierarchy? If a Jedi gives a Sunday sermon, do they have a congregation to hear it? Is the proverbial question that we may or may not answer today. Here on Labor Day, we should have done something on labor rights and labor relations, but maybe next year we'll do it next year. It always falls on a Monday, so we'll be good either way. But speaking of next year, whatever, let's get to the plugs out of the way. You can follow us on Blue Sky, primarily Blue Sky at ioncannon.bisky.social. Also still there on Threads, Instagram, Twitter at Ion Cannon Pod, but those are kind of dormant. The Blue Sky is where it's at. And speaking of Blue Sky, it's not down in the ticker there, but follow. I finally got off my rear end and made a Tractor Beam Comics Reviews Blue Sky account as well. So that's at the tractorbeam.bisky.social. Tractor Beam, a Star Wars comics podcast, all that stuff. Please do give that a follow as well. Share that account. Build up the numbers, as they say in the industry, in the biz. Build up the views, etc. Would be appreciative. Speaking of building up views, building up numbers, if you prefer to listen as opposed to watch on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please do give us a search, give us a look. The Ion Cannon podcast. We're on both, and right after we record, I will throw this up onto Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And for your listening pleasure, let us know what you prefer. If you prefer video, if you prefer audio, I could try and get the video of tonight onto Spotify as well. That might take some time, but I know that is possible. So I can try different things. Keeping it right along. There's more to do. It's Labor Day. I had the day off, so I'm kind of out of rhythm, out of whack. But we'll get through it. We'll get to it. We're probably part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network here on the Underworld YouTube channel. We have memberships. We have super chats. So if you chat with us down below, if you comment down below, we'll get to it when we can. If you super chat us, we'll get to it immediately. That's how this works. So because we're grateful for any support you can provide to the channel and the network. Also, the Discord server being involved. The water's fine. Lots of fun conversations going on down there. Joel, you and Ben really keeping it going strong. A few other folks I see regular contributors. And speaking of Discord, any events recently happened? Any events coming up soon?
We had a fun game night this week. With some Fortnite and some Helldivers. I'm not sure what we'll do this week. We'll probably maybe do another game night before we switch around to some movies. But it's gonna be a lot of fun.
There we go. So link in the description down below. Again, the water's fine. Come in chat. Tell us what you love about Star Wars. What do you hope to see in Star Wars? Different things. Tell us what you hope to see the Discord do. If you have any ideas, I'm sure Joel, you and Ben are open to input, open to suggestions and ideas there as well. Thought I'd shout that out. I mentioned the Tractor Beam comics reviews every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Chris Abbott and I review the comics that had come out that day and coming out that day from Star Wars. Hunt for the Falcon #1 that Han Solo and Chewbacca just before the Force Awakens. So part of the TFA at 10 party, I believe. Legacy Vader number 8. That one's going on, and Joel, you'll be joining us as our resident sequelist. So looking
Yes.
forward to that discussion. I believe this will be the introduction of that other Knight of Ren, that female Knight of Ren that Charles has talked about, and then probably the second last arc of the comic, because the last arc will be Luke. So yeah, looking forward to again a very sequel heavy sequel era stories coming hot and fast. And by the way, this is not a lull. Right, Chris and I say this every week. This is not a lull when it comes to Star Wars stories. Yes, it's a lull in terms of screen canon, screen stories. But there's a new Star Wars story comes out every Wednesday, almost entirely. I mean, yeah, I checked the schedule. Every Wednesday is a new Star Wars story. So, come on and enjoy. If you're needing the Star Wars fix, go to your local comic book shop and pick those up. Like Vader numbers 1 to 7, pretty easy read, pretty engaging read, as Charles Soule does, and so go check those out, and then come for number 8 and join us to watch the Tractor Beam Comics reviews this Wednesday right here on the Underworld Star Wars, the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So please do check that out. Last but not least, should mention, as I mentioned, the panel that we did with Ethan Sachs and Paolo Villanelli, that was recorded. That I did a bit of just rough editing on, a little bit, teensy bit, and it is scheduled to go up on YouTube tomorrow, right here on this channel, tomorrow at 5:15 Eastern time. So that'd be 2:15 Pacific. So please do check that out late afternoon tomorrow. It's a great discussion. Hopefully you can hear. Paolo was a little hard because he was on Zoom, but Ethan, loud and clear, and a great conversation there. So check that out tomorrow. I'll share that all over the socials as well. So yeah, keep an eye on that, because it was a great conversation in about 40 minutes, as a con panel does, but when it went into some really great stuff, really great territory. So please do check that out, especially if you've read Bounty Hunters, but even if you're just interested in Star Wars and conventions and Fan Expo Canada and all that. Looking forward to that hitting the YouTubes tomorrow at 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific time. All right, I've gotten through all the plugs. This week in Star Wars. Joel, will you take it away?
Yay! All right. So my week in Star Wars is a quote from The Art of the High Republic Phase 3. I think there's also Phase 2 in there.
Yeah, there's a bit of Phase 2 in there, but yeah.
Book. Where I finally have some confirmation about something I've been saying for a long time about Marcion Rowe and his place in the whole High Republic initiative, and now I'm going to read it.
Okay.
From Charles Soule. Full quote. In the final phase, who gravitated towards more villainous characters may find they agree with Charles Soule's take on. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was you who wrote that part.
Yes.
He said, "This is what he said."
No, this is from the article.
Oh, okay. In the final phase, okay, so this is the book, and then you get a quote. In the final phase, who gravitated more towards the villainous characters may find that they agree with author Charles Soule's take on Rowe's place in the saga. That's what he had to say. Marcion Rowe is the main character of the entire initiative, Soule said of the Nile leader. Say what you want, but this story drives all of it. But his story drives all of it. The whole story is built around this villain in a way that was in the DNA of the High Republic from the very beginning. The Phase 1 story is a reversal of the original trilogy. The villains win everything at the end of Fallen Star, and it's difficult to see how the good guys are going to claw their way out of it. So there you go. Soule says Marcion Rowe thinks he's the main character of the High Republic initiative, which I've been saying for quite a while, leading up to Trial of the Jedi.
I mean, the question is, like, fans who gravitate towards that. What about that? Because you have mentioned it quite a bit. What about that intrigues you?
I just think he's the singular most important character of the High Republic. It's his saga. It's like how the Lucas saga is Vader's story. This is Marcion's story. It starts and ends with him. He comes up, he does his thing, and then when the saga ends, he's gone.
Right.
And he's kind of the most important person who kind of drives everything together. He's pushing he's the one who's pushing the Republic forward. He's the one who's making all the characters react. He's kind of the main villain protagonist.
Yeah.
It's the Marcion saga. It's all about him and his legacy.
I mean, I can definitely see it. I mean, clearly see it, but I mean, it needed Trials of the Jedi to spell that out, right? That he's driven to become the only, not just the most important person, the only important person, the only person that matters. I'll let you mute there. Take it easy. Take some water there, Joel. The only person that matters in the galaxy, and to see that come full circle. Again, I can also see, that things plotted through may be hard to tell from phase 1, or even definitely from phase 2. Although, Barda is definitely the main character of phase 2 by the same logic, and that's definitely true. She definitely drives.
Well, it's kind of an unofficial Marcion Rowe origin story.
It is, well, not unofficial. It's nothing unofficial about it. That's the Nile origin story. That's the Marcion origin story.
Right.
Is kind of where he comes from. It's just a couple generations back, and kind of the world that he grows up in, right? The air that he breathes for his entire life. And so, I mean, we get a little bit of that, of course, in was it the wow, I got my coffee. We get a little bit of that in the that comic that ended phase 1. You got a little bit of that in Tempest Runner, the audio drama. Everything with Asgar in there. So yeah, again, I can see, especially with phase 3, how he pushes everyone away, and he's the one truly exploring the blight. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say there's one main character of this whole thing. I'd rather say he's the most main character, if that makes sense.
I mean,
there's other main
I don't know.
characters pushing the story forward.
Isn't that like saying Luke's not the main character of Star Wars, or disputing that? And I feel like it's
that's my point. Is that Luke is a main character in Star Wars.
But Anakin's the main character of Star Wars.
Yes, Anakin's the main character of the Skywalker saga, of the George Lucas films.
So that's by that logic, I say Marcion's the main character of High Republic, because he's the most important.
But if you ask J.J. Abrams who the main character of the Skywalker saga is, it's Luke, but he's wrong. Yeah, no, again, I get it. It's maybe
I don't think
in time.
I disagree, because I think if you reread all of High Republic, he's the one driving everything. Everyone's reacting to him.
Yeah,
and he's kind of the only character who's in everything. Well, not everything, but he's definitely, you can feel his presence.
It's just that because there's so many other stories, that there are other characters driving the action forward, right?
I don't agree with that. I think
Bell. I think Reith. Got to get my guy Reith in there.
Nah, I still think Marcion's still the pinnacle of character.
The pinnacle, yes, but not exclusively. And I don't know.
I think it is exclusively. I don't think anyone reaches his heights.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a pinnacle and exclusive, right? He doesn't end up becoming the most important person in the galaxy, or the only important person in the galaxy.
But I don't think it matters. No, I think he's the most important person in the story, though.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he's the only. Like, what I'm saying is, here's what I'm saying. Yes, he's the one pushing everything forward. Okay, primarily. But unlike smaller, shorter stories, where there really is, unlike Infinity War, right? That's the closest thing we got. Is that Thanos is the main character of Infinity War. Full stop. That there are other characters really pushing the story forward in lesser ways. It's not like
True, but
without
I
them.
consider the adult books kind of like the important ones, and Marthion's always the
See,
main character.
I don't. I consider the young adult ones the more important ones. So, or equally important. And if you look at
Mm,
that,
I guess I just can't see it. See, I just see it like the whole smush. If I just smush it all together,
yeah, and that's maybe probably 20 years from now we'll look back and like, oh yeah, Markian. It's all Markian story, and maybe in universe historians will do that too. So I get what he's saying. It's a good confirmation. I just and he'll also be the first to say. Charles will be the first to say, oh yeah, and other characters push the story forward in significant ways, just not as significant. Maybe we're talking about semantics here.
I mean, do you have the book? Is there more to the quote that I missed?
I do have the book. I just haven't looked at it closely enough yet. So I'll definitely give it a look. I do like this whole thing about the fallen star being, oddly enough, I mean, the station falls, the Republic, the station sent by a Coruscant government falls at the end of Fallen Star. The station sent by a Coruscant government at the end of A New Hope falls.
Although I don't know why he just didn't say it's like the prequel trilogy where the bad guys win. It's like, isn't that the whole part of the prequels? Is the bad guys win and the good guys?
I think he's referring to the Death Star and Luke and all that. So? It's just, I think that's what he means. And that, it's like, oh, this resounding victory that the Rebel Alliance gets at the end of A New Hope.
Okay.
This resounding victory that the Nile get at the end of the Fallen Star. So
Marcion is Luke, confirmed.
Maybe. There it is.
Well, he's young. He's a youngin.
Fun times. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good thought. I'll give the quote another look and just to see what the context is. I think it's also in the final phase, definitely in phase 3, but yeah.
True, but I always say phase 3, you're supposed to then retroactively look at the whole thing and
that's true.
It changes everything. Like how Revenge of changes the whole saga once you watch it. Like, oh,
that is true too. That is true too. Fun times. All right, I have a kind of a weird, different this week in Star Wars. Just musing, looking around, seeing. Okay, we're in the middle of Strange New Worlds. Just ding up the counter, ding up the truck reference counter here, because I'm like, how many Star Trek actors have been in Star Wars? Because we're in season 3 of Strange New World. So did a quick ChatGPT search, because that's what ChatGPT I think is good for. Of course, the big ones I already knew were George Takei as Hikaru Sulu and Neimoidian General in the Clone Wars Locke Third, and of course Brent Spiner as Data and Gal Travis in Rebels.
I actually didn't know that one. That was interesting.
You just can know the voice, like it's just so distinctive.
I actually did recognize the voice when I watched Rebels again, so that's what.
There we go. It's childhood muscle, childhood brainwave memory or something like that. Can't forget JJ's buddies. I did forget them, but can't forget JJ's buddies who ended up in both his forays into Star Trek and Star Wars. So you got Simon Pegg is Scotty in Unkar Plutt. You get Greg Grunberg has a little cameo as Commander Finnegan, who's the one who calls Jim Kirk Cupcake, and Snap Wexley, of course. You know that. Then a few more deeper cuts. Also in the JJ films is Deep Roy, who is Keenser, Scotty's kind of sidekick. He was all the way back in Return of the Jedi. He was Droopy McCool and other costume characters, just these creator specialists, I should say. So yeah, he's an example of a creator specialist. So yeah, Deep Roy, Jason Isaacs, of course, the Grand Inquisitor, and then in Captain Lorca. So this is Deep Roy and Jason Isaacs are examples of going the other direction, right? Grand Inquisitors and Rebels, and then Captain Lorca and Discovery. And then there's the animated voices. They just make the rounds, especially since Lower Decks was was easily the longest animated Star Trek show. So Phil Lamar, Tom Kenny, who's SpongeBob, a whole bunch more. So it's just another sign. It was just a curiosity to go into this. Just another sign that, like the debate is over. It's also a sign that I really want to make Star Trek content. But that's a whole other
Why
foray.
do you think there is a debate between Star Wars and Star Trek? Because they're not even the same thing. They're not even
Because
trying to.
nerds were trying
weird.
to. Here's the thing. So here's the
DC and Marvel got more of a rivalry, and I should know.
Yes.
You should see some of the stuff they do to each other. It's not
I
very-
think any kind of toxicity in nerddom
Mhm.
comes from this is me psychoanalyzing and dropping an incendiary bomb potentially.
Mhm.
I think any toxicity in nerddom fandom
Mhm.
is primarily the uncool kids on the playground because we were into Star Wars and Star Trek or whatever. We finally have our turf, and so we can actually have the opportunity to then one up and get our comeuppance. So we're not taking it out on Star Wars or Star Trek fans. We're taking it out on the schoolyard bullies, or just the folks, the more popular kids with more friends and cooler interests and better at sports and all that. So that's my theory. So maybe to say that whole thing has gone by the wayside. I mean, by and large, it's no longer weird to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to this con all this weekend. I'm dressing up as a whoever and as a Marvel character or a Star Wars character, or even wearing my Star uniform, whatever." I haven't cosplayed much, but yeah, that had more to do with it. There was the whole space fantasy versus sci-fi thing, the whole George Lucas realism versus Gene Roddenberry's optimism. So, but I don't think people are thinking or feeling at that level when they're just hurling insults. So, yeah, that's kind of a thing. But if actors want to, give their craft and get a call and said, here's the contract. We'll use your talent. Why not? How to work on set. You know how to give to the character and prepare your role. You clearly know what you're doing, and all these folks absolutely know what they're doing. Hollywood wants reliable people working, ideally. Who doesn't? So yeah, they bring them up and say, yeah, these artists, they'll go. Why not? It's just that some actors are obviously more well known for one franchise or the other. So yeah,
I think George Takei is also going to be a voice in the dub of the next Visions this year.
that wouldn't surprise me.
I swear I heard his voice. I rewatched the trailers.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like George Takei. So.
That's possible. Also, you had one weird one, kind of an Easter egg thing you wanted to
Oh,
mention.
yeah. So, this isn't actually Star Wars related, but it's kind of Star Wars related. Kind of. So Leonard Nimoy, who I love,
May he rest in peace.
he does the voice of one of the main bad guys in my favorite game series, Kingdom Hearts, named
Nice.
Xehanort. And the character is pretty much a Palpatine. He's an old man who's all about the darkness, and he corrupts a young blade wielding youth to the dark side. So yeah, that's pretty much. So if you ever want to hear like Leonard Nimoy do a Palpatine-like character, Kingdom Hearts Burst by Sleep for the PSP, on the PS4 as well for the remasters. He didn't get to finish he didn't get to finish the sequel, sadly, but we still have his lovely voice in the Kingdom Hearts games, and yes, he's also the great Galvatron, reincarnation of Megatron.
Yeah. Send me a video of that character, this Kingdom Hearts guy.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm curious. Try to picture Palpatine, but with Spock's voice.
Something like that. Yeah, I'll definitely send you the best moments.
So, sometimes.
Mark Hamill was also in that game too. So,
there we go. I feel like Mark Hamill hasn't been in Star Trek, but anyway. Speaking of hearing Palpatine's voice in your head, we got an excerpt of Master of Evil, that just released today, just this afternoon, right? So this is the Adam Christopher novel that is about the early days of Darth Vader. It's set between arcs, I believe, in Charles Soule's comic. And this excerpt really, well, we got this excerpt on Polygon, and it helped us get a clue as to when this book is set. Joel, I'll throw it to you. What were your thoughts on this excerpt?
Oh, well, I think what stood out to me the most was the final line of the excerpt where oops, I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Ah,
Yes.
oh no, you didn't put a link in it. Oh no,
No, I didn't. But I found it in their chat.
I might have it still on the internet. Maybe. Come on, dang it.
I think I know what the quote you're referring to though is.
I know, but let me find it. Well,
I got it.
I'll talk about the rest of it before I give. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I got it. Okay. I got my phone.
Okay.
Final line where he goes. So Vader and the Emperor talking. Vader wants knowledge. Vader wants to bring back the dead. Blah 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 blah. And then I know.
Sorry.
I know. I'm very silly. And then Palpatine finally says, "Remember, Lord Vader, there is no power in the Force that is not mine, for I am the dark side." That phrasing is directly from my favorite Star Wars Expanded Universe comic, Dark Empire.
Nice.
And here's the Dark Empire version of the quote. "Yes, did I not warn you? I played along with your little Jedi dueling games long enough. Now you will experience my full potency. I live as energy. I am the dark side." So I see what you're doing there, Adam Christopher. I see you doing your Dark Empire references. But no, it was a pretty cool excerpt talking about what Vader saw on Mustafar. Palpatine's like, "Hey, you're not ready to learn this stuff till I say so. You know, you're still young and stupid. You're only 20 something, I think. So you gotta wait. You gotta pay your dues. You can't just start on level 10. You gotta work your way up, Darth Vader.
Yeah,
and that's when I get to decide when you do that. So patience. You gotta, otherwise you're gonna hurt yourself even more than you already hurt. So don't be stupid. No, I like this book. I'm very excited to see, and we get a little Plagueis nod, so that was cute.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the resurrected Palpatine in that comic. So you sent me that
young resurrected Palpatine.
Young resurrected Palpatine because it looks green.
That was just the art style.
That's whatever the 90s art style there or whatever.
But he's supposed to be in a young, fresh, juvenated clone body.
Where
he can duel and do flips and kicks.
Yes. I mean, you could do that in Revenge of the Sith, but that hasn't come out yet. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really gripping, really fascinating. I say that a lot, but just, again, a clue to when it's set, and pretty clearly, the cave reference to the cave on Mustafar, where he bleeds his crystal. I'm guessing that's the reference.
Yes.
And so, we haven't gotten much in terms of reflecting on fleshing that part of that story out, and so really excited, really looking forward to that, because I mean, hey, prequels, this shirt here, that relationship between Anakin and Vader is always my favorite, and so this gets me juiced for it. Even also, this is I think this is one of the first canon scenes really inside the Jedi Temple turned Imperial Center.
Was it in there? I thought it was in Palpatine's office in the prequel still. He's still in that place a lot.
That's a good question. No, I don't know. I feel like it might be Imperial Executive Building. Yeah, maybe it is that thing. I don't know.
We see Attack of the Clones and the Revenge of the Sith all the time.
Like the Chancellor's office.
Because he still uses that place even as Emperor, at least in his early years.
Okay, maybe. But I mean, okay. Well, that's too bad. But that was wrong. But I mean, I know early on in the Charles Soule comic, he moves into the Jedi Temple, this building here.
Right.
We got the archives here. Like it kind of feels like the well, I mean, just it talks about the Coruscant traffic. I don't know. I'm gonna being a nerd here and guessing it is the Jedi Temple.
Okay.
I get executive building. Anyway, the real heart of the story there is but you told me you'd be able to save Padme, and you want knowledge, and having that vision of him being tempted by to go back to the light. That virgin's on Mustafar that sees into him and tempts him with being forgiven by Obi-Wan, getting and bringing Padme back by restoring her legacy, or honoring her legacy. That's the real way Anakin can bring her back, is by honoring her legacy, which is he ends up doing in Return of the Jedi, of course. But here, yeah, definitely being tempted by the dark side, by to do that through the dark side, do that literally, by literally resurrecting her from the dead. Yeah, I'm really, it really whets my appetite, really does its job. It's only September, already September. It's only September. But I hope it's in November can't come soon enough for this. So yeah, because I mean that scene, that moment in that comic book is so spectacular, and to see that get fleshed out, to know it's going to get fleshed out, I got to pre-order it like right after this. I got to go for it because
Nice.
dang. So looking forward to that. Although, I wish there hopefully some variants at New York Comic Con or something. I won't be going, but yeah, looks great. I know there's the Inkstone variant that has the lightsaber on the side, like in the pages is printed. You know how Thrawn books are usually printed blue. This one's printed with lightsaber, black, and with a lightsaber. So
Nice.
yeah, looks gorgeous. Probably just gonna get the direct edition version, but yeah, definitely excited, and definitely kind of thing could talk about it both on Tractor Beam and here, because it's definitely comic adjacent. So stay tuned for all the different ways we chat about it. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. I mean, I just read it like half an hour ago, so just before we started. So maybe I'll have to read it again, but maybe we can dive into our main discussion now. Speaking of Jedi and live religions and Sith and all that.
Do the Jedi give Sunday sermons? Can I need to go to my Jedi temple? I got some spiritual problems. Is the Jedi Master there? Hello? Yeah. So this was inspired by a fun video about fake religions and why they feel fake compared to real ones. And we decided to apply some of these things to Star Wars. There's a bunch of fancy words that Matthew's going to help us break down. So, the video kind of goes into a bunch of stuff, and we kind of had reversed a bunch of the way the video organizes it in our notes. So one of the things that the video talked about in terms of like things that can make the Jedi. So let's obviously we have in Star. Oh, hello, I'm here.
We're good. Go okay. For it. Keep going.
I hit my microphone. So obviously we have in Star Wars the Force, the energy field that connects all living things, that surrounds us and penetrates us and binds the galaxy together, as says Obi-Wan. So the Force is not a religion. The Force is essentially the God, I think, for all intents and purposes. And I guess if we are to believe the narrative, it's real. It's real, or there must be, it's real-ish enough.
In Star Wars,
in Star Wars. So we have that. But then we have the people who believe in the Force.
Yeah.
And much like a lot of religions, except for the ones that are what's the name of religions that have multiple gods?
Polytheistic.
Polytheistic.
Yeah. Which are the vast majority through human history. But anyway, keep going.
Polytheistic religions. Most everybody kind of believes in the Force. And through it, they have their different interpretations and views and names for it and all that sort of thing. And because of that, the various religions come about. We have the Jedi, which are, of course, the big one, most institutionalized, the biggest, the stars of the franchise because they make the money and the toys. We have, but then of course we got the Sith. See, for all intents and purposes, got to have your bad guys because we need your good bad guys. Then we have, those are the big two. Those are the big two. Always fighting each other. And then we got like third one. We got the Night Sisters, We got the Knights of Ren. We
Mhm.
got every religion whose name I can't name in the Jeddah at Jeddah.
Mhm.
Like the monk guys who are dark side, but they don't do anything except just watch people die because they enjoy pain.
Oh gosh, I forget.
The ones who look like Imperial Guard but with big hats.
Yeah, yeah, those
Uh,
ones.
the Guardians of the Wills who guard the temple.
Mhm. Mhm.
The plant people.
The Drengir,
No, there's like a plant nature religion in Jeddah. I feel like at least I remember reading that from the High
probably.
Republic
It's
comic.
probably true. Yeah.
Trying to think of other ones just outside of. I mean, the Mortis gods are their own weird thing.
Yeah.
The witches in the Acolyte who believe in the thread,
Oh yeah.
who are not Night Sisters. They're a different thing. Very
Mhm.
important. They're a different thing. Uh, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
Ordo Espectu from Africomic,
Right.
which are a splinter cell of the Jedi. Um,
They're more an ancient sect, but yeah.
and then there's a bunch of others in Legends that I don't remember. But
Mhm.
basically they all stem from the Force.
Mhm.
So we want to kind of go in and see, like, okay, we have the Force, then we have all
Mhm.
these religions, but do they feel real? Do
Mhm.
they feel like a true natural religion as we would have it in our world? Because in our world, we got lots of religions. We got the big three, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam.
Yeah.
Then we got Buddhism,
Mhm.
and then we got Hinduism, and then we got a bunch of others that I don't remember at the top
Mhm.
of my head. Then you got all the little tribal religions as well, depending on like your region and your area. But one thing the book always goes into, like how even among the world, we got cultures and states and nations
Yeah,
and
the
tribes,
video you mean, right?
right, in the video.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one thing we want to go into and talk about as we break it down.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll throw it to you, Master, to kind of start us off as our theologist of when you leave the vast pantheon of Star Wars and religion, what's
Mhm.
kind of your nerdy take on it in terms of just world building?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question in that, well, the thing I was most interested in with the High Republic is what do the regular folks believe, and or is this more of a, I don't know, but kind of this weird medieval sort of, I don't know, but that's the thing. We
Mhm,
have this thing with the Middle Ages as if the only people who actually believed anything were, I mean, the ones who were educated enough to know what to believe. So therefore, clergy and nobility.
mhm,
But no, I mean, there were lots of popular. There's lots of popular religion that was connected to what, to the elites. And then the elites would have to give sermons and have conversations to try and help people understand. That's what stained glass was about. That's what paintings were about to folks who were illiterate. They still had a connection to these metaphysical beliefs. And so I wanted to see more of that. And even in the High Republic, and certainly, with the Rebel Alliance and whatnot, we get a bit of it. We do get a bit of it. Definitely the way that the the normal folks, the regs, whatever, the way that they cooperate with the Jedi and the way they view the Jedi seems to be a connection to, or seems to be indicative of the way that they view the Force. They view that, that this is a good for the galaxy. This is, even questions like destiny and purpose hopefully can come through, but it's more, I don't know, it's clearly, folks who are, it's hard when in the real world you're not in it as much. I think, um and there's clearly folks like Kevin Scott and Claude Gray and E.K. Johnston who have studied these things, do have a more realistic sense of it, as in real, like realistic as in closer to what I know. Um but it's also true that if you're not in a part of the institution, it is harder to remember. So I mean, it's harder in other ways to remember if you are part of the institution, because you can replace your beliefs and your practices with just the things you have to do for the institution. But yeah, the video really raises an interesting question there, in that you know, to what extent do folks on the ground actually connect with the Force? And you picked out some great examples, right, of the Night Sisters, of
I
the
forgot the Force
sisters.
healer from Andor.
Yeah, the Force healer from Andor is an interesting kind of reminder for everyone, and that's what's fascinating. I was going to mention her, that the fact that she's welcome, that people go to her, the fact that Bix probably has this chat with her and be like, oh, I'm curious, I want to go off. I think my headcanon is that she's gone off to explore that side of things, and therefore doesn't fit on Andor and didn't fit with Andor's life, Cassian's own life. So Andor is just not that kind of show. But yeah, in some ways, yes, but in some ways, even when Akbar and Jin and them say, "May the Force be with us, may the Force be with you," different rebel leaders say that. It's just a little reminder of, oh yeah, I mean, that there is this metaphysical energy field that does push the story forward. Now, I was thinking about this. This is what was I thinking about? Watching today again, How I Made Your Mother, and how in How I Made Your Mother they kind of break the sitcom rule and have an actual kind of magic, weird things going on, even though it's really just a sitcom, because the story needs it to, and the character needs it to, and that is how the Force works. The Force, I was thinking about hyperspace. The fact that everyone uses hyperspace without fully understanding what it means, and the reason why it takes so much time to go from point A to point B is because the story needs it to, and the pacing needs it to. And
they only tried it with A New Hope once to give hyperspace like some rules, and then by the sequel, they're like, nope, we're not going to bother.
Yeah, forget it. Even Rey can lift the rocks on Last Jedi because she needs to, and the Rebel Alliance needs her to, right? Right. They need to get out. If it's the story, sort of the story.
Characters meet just at the right moment. Get the Force wills it. That's the story.
Like, it's not a coincidence. That's actually the internal reality of the Star Wars universe. So, insofar as people connect with it, insofar as people benefit from it, I would like to see. I mean, more like there's the Church of the Force and the Guardians of the Wills, right? Folks, even if they don't have a high M count, like, they don't have a high two theology degrees or whatever, they still have devoted their lives to, not necessarily even their everyday lives, just their day jobs, but parts of their lives to the will of the Force and what the Force is doing. I want to see, I mean, even the Sith, like, that's an interesting thing. Oddly enough, just thinking about this now, the Sith are, we talked about how, well, we just talked about, I am the dark side. Palpatine, his day job is to do the Senate thing, and then do chancelloring, and then do emperoring. That's his day job. But he's doing it for the sake of controlling the dark side, right? That's a metaphysical, existential belief that he has, right? That he is destined to control the dark side and live forever. From that point of view, yeah, he's a very religious person, put it that way. So it's mixed. Is kind of what I'm getting at. It's pretty mixed.
Well, I guess
I'd like to see more of the regular folks. I want to use a Harry Potter term, but I won't. More Muggles. I'll use it. More Muggles.
Non-Force sensitive. There you go.
Yeah, those guys. And what their relationship to the Jedi, to the Force is.
Well, I mean, here's the interesting question: would it be to the Jedi or just straight up the Force. Like the Jedi aren't the Force.
Mm.
The Sith aren't the Force.
No.
Um, we're talking about rituals. One of
Mhm.
the most ritualistic thing about religion is going to church. I mean, that's why the podcast is called "Do Shit I Give Sunday Sermons."
Yeah.
Um, what's interesting, and maybe this is just simply because we don't spend a lot of time in like a single community.
Right.
Do communities on planets have local churches? I mean, if you lived in Orange, like if you ever visited my hometown, Matthew, I could take you to like Church Row where there's
Oh,
like
sure. Yeah.
5 different churches. We got a Greek one, we got a
Mhm.
pretty liberal one, we got like a big Jewish temple.
The Crystal Cathedral, which is now the Catholic Christ Cathedral. It's in Orange.
I mean, these are pretty small. I mean, I
Yeah.
live in the suburbs, but like
Sure.
where there's like a whole church little area where all the churches are.
Mhm.
Um, it's like just across the street. We do have a
Mhm.
Catholic church here somewhere, too.
Mhm.
It's like in your local neighborhood, is there like a church? And it's like, well, if it's Church of the Force, what denomination is this? Is this a cis denomination? Is this
Sick
Jedi? Is
denomination.
this like some new thing?
Yeah.
Who's sponsoring this? Is it a
Who's
cis
sponsoring?
CEO? I don't know. Right?
Yes.
Is there
Who's
that?
endowed them? Yeah.
Um, because it's interesting about
Mm.
that.
Mhm.
To compare this to another franchise, I'm gonna do some of this now.
Sure.
One that funny enough they didn't talk about in the video, and I'm surprised. Tolkien. Um,
Yeah.
what's
There's a
funny?
very good reason for that. But
You know
keep
what's
going.
funny about it is Tolkien has gods. Like there are literal gods. The
Yeah.
Valar, the Maiar. They're technically angelic beings. And there's
Mm.
Iluvatar,
Mhm.
who is the big daddy. He's the big god. Um, what's funny though in Tolkien mythology,
Mhm.
there aren't any churches. We never see a church. There's no church of Ero Iluvatar. But
Mhm.
want to know what's really funny? You want to know when the only time we see a church, like a proper, like institutional church with like a high priest in an institution?
The
It's
uh
it's the
the
Church of
rings.
Morgoth, which
Yeah.
Sauron starts up. So the only
Interesting.
time we get an institutional church, like an old, like a true church with a hierarchy and
Mhm.
with temples and sacrifices, in
Mhm.
human sacrifices, is Sauron in Numenor starts up the Church of Sauron. I mean Morgoth
Mhm.
to his boss. Sauron's the church of his boss. To corrupt the souls of men.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
I just think that's fascinating. Where it's like whereas the other characters, like there is no church in Gondor. There's no like clericalness and priest. Gandalf is kind of the only clerical figure, weirdly, because he can serve that role in some weird. Because he's a wise mage. The wizards
Mhm.
kind of are clerics in some weird way.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting that that the people in Middle Earth, they believe in their gods and their vows, but they don't have like institutional churches. And I think it's funny that in some ways Star Wars kind of follows that Tolkien path, where it's like
Mhm.
unless you're the official Jedi who are part of like an actual order, like regular folks don't really go to church. They
Mhm.
might believe in the Force, but like there's no like, oh, Han Lay, I gotta go to the Sunday sermon with baby Ben
Mhm.
Solo to their local Force church. Um,
Yeah.
if their local cleric is speaking, and even then, like, who would the cleric be doing on behalf? Is that there's it's not like the Jedi are franchising out,
Yeah.
right? Then there's the question: if there's a Jedi temple on your planet, do they give Sunday sermons every week? It doesn't seem like they do. Seems like
Mm.
I mean, sometimes they'll do stuff. If you like watch Young Jedi Adventures, the Jedi help
Yeah.
out with like parties and little demonstrations of lightsaber
Do
techniques.
they bake bread?
I think
I
it's
know they
Sunday.
make soup. I don't think they bake bread though.
They do deliver food and help out
Yeah.
with the food party, so
Yeah.
I guess they do. So, yeah,
Mm.
that is kind of an interesting thought about just religion right there. It's
Yeah.
like, you're either all in the cult slash organization, or
Mhm.
I don't know, the normies don't have a little church to go to pray on Sunday and then go home and then
Yeah.
watch the football game or
There.
pod racing.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if that's. I mean, a very Western. I mean, it starts with the synagogue system, that kind of idea. 'Cause I mean, well, because I'm just thinking, in the history of religions, again, polytheism was the most common. You go to a temple to offer a sacrifice.
Sacrifice the sheep.
And then uh, kind of towards the end when people thought the temple was corrupt. This is the origins of Judaism, really. Is people the temple was corrupt or wasn't enough. They actually wanted to learn Torah, and so they developed this thing called a synagogue, where people would gather and learn about that. And then Christians just adapted that to the idea of a parish church. It's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the gist. So that and Muslims, I guess, adapted to a mosque and whatnot. But I do wonder if well, oddly enough, for Tolkien, you bring up Tolkien, it's interesting that he doesn't uh, try and make a church of Iluvatar or whatever.
Eru
Um,
Iluvatar.
Eru Iluvatar, because I mean, maybe the idea is that there doesn't need to be one. Everyone already just assumes that, right? It's in the world. Also, he didn't like allegory. He didn't like it being too on the nose.
But too.
So that might have been too on the nose. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a similar thing as having a temple where there's this order of priests, if you will. There were on these Jedi outposts, and they do really. It's a bit more like a monastery, is what I'm getting at. Those
But the
temples,
Buddhist
but
side of the whole
but
Jedi.
yeah, both Buddhist. But I mean, they're Christian monasteries that
That's true.
aren't really public. And the thing is, the temples, for the most part, are also not really public. They're just the private sequestered off, and then people come to the front door and give their animal and whatnot, and then the priests go in. Um, so maybe something similar to that, but yeah, it's a good question. That what does this work? What are the real world parallels? Things aren't going to map on perfectly. That's just not going to happen, right? There's not. It doesn't
I,
need to happen. So yeah.
I mean, and this is kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves, but since we're
Mhm.
sticking with rituals for the most part in Star Wars do
Mhm.
seem to be more planet focused than necessarily
Yes.
galactic. I mean, there's
Mhm.
definitely some galactic holidays. We
Mhm.
know already. Life Day feels. I mean, well, Life Day is weird because Life Day seems like it's a Wookiee holiday, but it feels like it's a Wookiee holiday that now like everybody celebrates.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it just got popular. It's like, hey, maybe we like everyone celebrates Life Day now.
Yeah.
Or a
I
lot of people.
mean, everyone celebrates Christmas,
That's true.
Thanksgiving. It's not just a Christian holiday anymore.
That's true. That's true. So
Yeah.
but I think of obviously the big one is again from Andor. Funny enough, the Aldani
Yeah.
pilgrimage to see the sparkling lights.
Mhm.
That I forget what they called it. Been a while since I watched Andor.
Yeah.
But there's definitely that's a ritual.
Mhm.
There's I don't know if that's a priest leading them or just the village leader, but
What's the difference? I mean, how do you?
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely there.
Yeah.
There's that. Um, so
There's
there's
Jedi funerals. In Clone Wars, we get that Jedi funeral.
true.
In Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi, we have the funeral pyre.
There's
Those. Yeah.
There's
Like
when
Qui-Gon
Asajj
and.
Ventress gets become a night sister, she gets to have the glowy
Oh
pool
yeah.
party, zoobity zoobity, and then everyone dances, and then the Separatists
Mhm.
attack and kill them all.
Well, there's that.
There's the witches ceremony.
Yeah.
So
It's a different.
wait. Oh, go ahead.
So good. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, but the thing is with these rituals, they're all very lack of a better term, segregated from the masses in a weird
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't seem like. I mean, Jedi funerals are maybe a little different because like Palpatine technically attends Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yeah.
So it's like politicians get to show up, and for Jedi funerals, like if they're big,
Mhm.
like I think Padme went there for Obi-Wan's funeral in Clone
Yeah.
Wars, I think.
Right.
So Jedi tech,
Yeah.
I guess, are a little bit more open to like, hey, you want to watch us
Mhm.
do this cool? I mean, actually, at the end of the High Republic, is the party just for the Jedi, or is it like everyone's invited, free food?
I think, like in High Republic Adventures, the one
No,
on
the Trial of the Jedi, where they celebrate the Nile victory and the big
I
party.
don't remember. All I know is those the party on Ariadu.
No, I think so
Yeah.
because I think in the one where Keeve leaves, you see Chancellor Soul and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So I
That's
guess
probably true.
that's probably more dignitaries, but
Yeah.
I guess people can visit. So I guess like Jedi can at least you can watch the ceremony because there's definitely
Yeah.
a lot of like, hey, watch the Jedi do this cool thing with their
Mhm.
lightsabers in the Force and has
Yeah.
religious meeting.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm just thinking, like that. My question is still, it's very contemporary. I mean, even until the 19th century, and you still see Eastern Christians still have this called the iconostasis, where that uh there's a whole screen. It's called icon screen,
mhm.
and in behind is where the ritual takes place, and then they come back and forth in and out. There was in the Western churches we had that too, so it's still a sense of the temple and secluded and whatnot. So yeah, maybe my whole um elites versus masses question, it's a very, I mean, it is a very enlightenment question, and the reason why our conception of ritual, interesting you mentioned sermons,
Mhm.
right? Sermons weren't really considered ritual until recently. They're now
Yoda
considered,
giving a sermon. I can just imagine now.
well, as in, yeah, like it wasn't the main event, and in some ways it isn't,
Mhm.
but because it's dealing with the public, it's helping people understand and believe and live.
Mhm.
And so I do want to know more about that. But uh, yeah, you did point out a lot of these rites of initiation, right?
Right.
The Night Sisters being brought, and the witches on and Brundock, Jedi knighting. That's a rite of initiation, you know. Um, and so yeah, it's definitely those are the kinds of rituals we see, uh, by the right of the council, by the will of the Force. Knight of the Republic, which I always find weird, but uh, yeah, although that's a bit of a rabbit trail I can go on, but yeah, it's true. It's mostly rites of initiation, So if there is, here's the answer to the question here. If there is any sort of analogy in terms of real lived religion, it isn't our contemporary Western idea of it. It's more the focus on rituals and on mystery. I don't want to say secrecy because that has a negative connotation, but mystery, as in it isn't about necessarily us understanding or even knowing.
Well,
And that's why,
sometimes it's mystery because I think the witches don't want secrecy. Because I don't think the witches want anybody interrupting them.
well, mystery is the purpose of secrecy, is what I'm getting at. And um, you talk about like about the iconostasis of the screen, and we'll get into some different things later on. But one of the examples we'll get into is the language that the ritual is in, right? The reason it's not in a vernacular is because it doesn't need to be understood. And again, that comes from a different worldview where the priority wasn't so much on the masses understanding, it's them showing up and doing their duty and taking part in, and just not everything, but being present to witness it. Um, but what really mattered is what happens beyond the screen. And so that, of course, doesn't fit with our contemporary worldview, where we do think understanding and knowledge, like Theater is saying, we wants knowledge, or knowledge really does matter. So yeah, maybe that's where we kind of see, and we see exceptions like Laura Santeca and then the Church of the Force, like you mentioned. So
Actually,
yeah.
I just remembered something, and I can't
Hmm.
believe I didn't even put this in the notes because I've been
Hmm.
watching this all week with my dad.
Hmm.
In season 3, we see at the end we see the Mandalorian rituals. The
Yes.
kitty puts on the helmet, he kicks the creed,
Hmm.
and then you go into the water, you sprinkle a little water on you.
The
You
baptism.
might hear a giant monster then come out and attack you.
Hmm.
This is the way. This is the way.
Yeah.
And then
Interesting. That one's the most interesting example because that is a more, oddly enough, a more wider, inclusive uh ritual. It's like anybody in the community, if you want to do this. Of course, the children of the watch are very strict,
once you put
but
on the helmet, you got to put on the helmet.
yeah. But yeah, like, there's a few baptisms, right? There's that one. There's, um, Ray
That's
is
not
the big,
adventurous.
yeah, Ventress, Ray, Luke in A New Hope. That the great Nedio Okorafor story in the New Hope Factpov.
Oh
The
yeah,
Dianoga is literally called the Baptist. So
just learned that today. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, there's there's we got Mandalorian rituals all
Hmm.
up the wazoo.
Hmm.
Even the lighting of the Great Forge, and everyone shouts for
Hmm.
Mandalore, yay! Um, in Tales of the Jedi, the comic book, we get to see Sith funerals, in
Really
the ancient empire,
hmm
which are very Egyptian-like. They got a mummified body, and
interesting.
if you ever want to learn what, like, the Sith are in those comics, are very much ancient Egypt. You even got like big raw and crocodile-looking statues that they get buried in
Hmm.
the tombs,
Hmm.
and the priest cleric lords, and make a big
Hmm.
speech, and then sometimes there's fighting because it's like, I want to be the Sith Lord now. I don't. You don't get to be the Sith Lord. I get to be the Sith Lord. They
Hmm.
duke it out, and sometimes the Sith ghost will say, "Hey, knock it off. We're gonna be in trouble. Yeah,
Hmm.
the good guys are gonna come and get us." So, we see a little bit of Sith ritual looking stuff on Exegol with the weird temple and the big throne and the
Hmm. Yeah.
Palpatine Sith guys just chanting, ooga booga ja ja. Um, well, Sith
Yeah.
religion's interesting because I guess in that case it's like the clerics are not just the clerics. As if Palpatine is the cleric, he's also the god because he thinks he's the god. So
Yeah.
Palpatine is both god and cleric.
That kind of fits, right? The idea of the cleric standing in place of the deity,
Because
becoming the
Palpatine thinks he's
deity.
the deity.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. That's the cult of personality. We call it a cult of personality. It's a literal cult of personality. There we go. That's what the Sith Eternal are. They're a literal cult of personality.
Well, they do say in a lot of those books with the Sith Eternal of like their dark gods, Lord Palpatine. So,
Yeah,
that's how the Sith Emperors just rules. Like they worship
Lord
God,
Vader, Lord Palpatine, Lord Sidious, whatever.
Lord Vitiate, Lord Dark Stars,
Hmm.
King. So yeah.
Yeah,
I guess we've talked enough about ritual.
yeah.
Um, we got a little bit of religious
Materiality,
materiality.
physical
We
stuff.
we can talk about it a little bit before we get into the big things. We two big ones here.
Hmm.
In terms of like things people hold, like Christians have the cross and Muslims have the little beads that they use to pray.
Yeah,
You
Christians
know,
have those too.
Jewish people got the Star of David sometimes somewhere around their neck or something, and the
Yeah,
and menorahs. And
those are more like symbols, but
that's true. Um, you know,
mhm,
we don't see a lot of that in Star Wars, but
mhm,
there is some stuff like Jin has her kyber crystal necklace. Um,
mhm.
when her mom gives her, which she
Yeah,
thinks will bring her good luck. Trying to think of what else. I
Jin,
guess Jedi robes in the High Republic.
yeah. I mentioned that one. Because materiality, it is closely connected to ritual. Um, even well, yeah, it is closely connected to ritual in that sense. In that, you like the kyber crystal. But I guess it's also connected to popular devotions, right? And that's what you're getting at with the necklace. You got charm. Well, I think even Emmeline Holdo's bracelet that has the comparative astrology of the different planets, the different
Mm,
constellations on different planets. That was neat. I brought up Jedi robes because they do signify a calling in the Force, right? They do signify, at least during the High Republic, the temple robes, especially
mhm.
the white, the gold. They signify. I think. No, that's not that one. That's the Path of the Open End. Um, and that's Kievan in mission attire. But that they are special. That they are, well, they're meant to ideally on the upside. That's the thing with this is the debate about robes generally is,
Mhm.
are they saying we're better than everyone else, or are they trying to say the Force brings a nobility to it and a dignity to anyone
Could you
who
make
encounters it.
the irony though that the prequel that
Mm.
makes the prequel Jedi even more humble because their robes are just so bland and brown.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is, they're Jedi of the Republic now. It's the Republic that has the source of nobility and dignity, and therefore, it's okay. We can just slap on armor like it's no problem. Um, Unlike only the 9 who get to wear armor in Trials of the Jedi. Well, every Jedi gets to wear armor now in the Clone Wars. Yeah, it's true. It's interesting. I mean, it was an interesting choice by the Team Luminous to give them these different robes. Um, yeah, I mean, you see on Jedi, you see all the different robes and different instruments and different things. I mean, even I think the Night Sisters and their clothing, but even their ritual, I mean, has that like water and even fire are also material, and that's how it's connected to rituals. Ritual often uses stuff, and it says in this case the Force is present throughout the galaxy, throughout all living things. And so even Yoda choosing to go to Dagobah and to reflect and connect, and the reason Dagobah is so rich in the Force is because it's so rich in life, and that there's a materiality there that Yoda can tap into to reflect on. I mean, here's the contrast. I'm just realizing this. He goes from the incredibly technological concrete jungle of Coruscant, where it's the Republic and now the Empire is the infrastructure, is the metaphysical infrastructure of the galaxy, right? The Republic had already become, and that's to your point about the humility, the Republic had already become the metaphysical infrastructure, the thing that everyone, the point of reference, as opposed to the Force or as opposed to the Jedi. And so he goes from that on Coruscant to Dagobah, where it's all growth and life and death and the natural cycle that, of course, Rey learns about on Octo, which is also incredibly teeming with life.
Mm-hmm.
And so this materiality of the Force moving and sustaining life, right? That's the point, is that this whole planet, it's a symbiotic relationship where the planet is sustained by the Force, which makes it stronger in the Force and enables deeper connection to the Force. And so, it's why, it's why in the story, at least, where he encounters Qui-Gon as Force Ghost, right? And then there's the cave, which is also, it's tapping into a side of the Force, but you, of course, bring into it what you get out of it, what you bring into it. And so, yeah, that to me speaks of materiality too, right? It's because the reason we want to recapture a sense of materiality, a lot of Western Christians have, is because we, for a longest time, we did think it was primarily about reading and understanding and thinking, and it's not that it was never about living and eating and playing and whatnot, but that the thought was, if you just read the right things and thought the right things, then you'd live the right way. And we know that just doesn't work. I'm not saying, there's lots of folks who are living quite wrongly, who may read the right things every Sunday. That being said, the books on Octo and the tree there, those are also material, and they are guides, and they're not page turners, although I probably would find them page turners. But
You know what?
it's good
Yeah.
it's important that Rey takes them.
People always forget that, and to be fair, it's not like
Yeah.
the movie emphasizes it maybe a little, that it's just kind of like blink and you miss it.
Yeah, it is a blink and you'll miss it, exactly.
Which maybe they could have emphasized it a little bit more in the movie, like, hey, Ray actually kept the books. That means she didn't
Yeah.
actually destroy the old ways.
People who ignored because they wanted to.
I don't know. I think it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention, or There's a bunch of other
Were they
stuff.
on their phone? Like, come on.
I don't
It's
know. I
in the
think I would
drawer.
have
They're in
missed.
the drawer.
I
I
actually
didn't
took
miss
a
it the
while
first
to.
time.
I might have missed
Gotcha.
it, so I think I
That's right.
could.
I missed it the first time too.
So,
Yeah.
but actually, that's actually something I kind of think is funny of how we always compare the Jedi to like the Catholic Church or something like that.
Yeah.
There is no Bible. Like there's like it's the
No.
sacred Jedi text, but like
Mhm.
those seem like old books that no one would know. Like not even Jedi of today know exist.
Right.
Maybe they do, and I don't know. But I'm gonna just assume they don't. Um,
Mhm.
and Yoda the Force Ghost by the time he talks about them, so he should probably know everything.
Mhm.
Um, but
Mhm.
um, but there's no Bible. There's no central book. Like I have a Bible somewhere in the house. I don't read it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I have one somewhere.
Yeah.
You have one. Most people probably who
Yeah.
aren't religious probably have one somewhere in their house.
The
I'm not gonna
family heirloom thing.
exactly. So or you can just buy one at the bookstore or on
Yeah.
Amazon for $20 or something.
Yeah.
So like there's no
They're free
star
online.
or they're free online. Go to Internet Archive or something.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Mhm.
There is kind of no Bible like that. I mean, I guess not every fantasy world has a Bible, but yeah, I do
Mhm.
find it funny that there is no Jedi Bible. There are the
Yeah.
archives, which probably have lots of history and stuff, and there's
Mhm.
probably all sorts of books written by different people, but there's
Mhm.
no grand central big book.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, that's always been in Judaism, Christianity, and in Islam especially, pretty central. But I mean, in other religions, it isn't. That's the thing. Um, and that's the thing. What I was saying in certain types of Christianity, like Protestant Christianity, it's the main thing. It's the only thing, really. And then I'll get to this in a little bit later, but in other forms of Christianity, yeah, it's important, but it's not the it's highly important. It's highly important, but
Mhm.
it's not the be all. It's hard to say. It's not the be all and end all. It's more complicated than that. It's more mm, the community of interpretation that builds around it. And so, yeah, it's true. I mean, there's the Jedi code. There's wisdom. It gets passed down. There's the Jedi ways. I'm sure there are actual rules, but those are the Bible. Those are laws, right? Those are called canon law, or internal whatever. So yeah, no, it's true. There isn't a sacred text. There isn't one sacred text that is guiding for the Jedi. Otherwise, yeah, everyone would know about it, and yet they just pop out of nowhere in Last Jedi, and Luke loves them. Although Yoda knows about them, right?
I mean,
Page
he's a
Turners
Force
don't know.
Ghost, so who knows if that's just Force Ghost knowledge, or maybe he's old enough to know that something might be out there. For all we know.
Actually, I actually just thinking about this now. I honestly don't know. Maybe they do. They just never brought them up. Kind of like with Tolkien, right? How there's no need for him to make a church because that would be too on the nose, and also
There's no
it's
big
con-
book in.
it's obvious. Yeah, no big book in Tolkien either.
There's just
In
the
the Lord of the
tales
Rings.
passed down from fathers
Yeah,
to sons, and the songs of something something, and
yeah.
blah blah blah, all that good stuff.
Which
Um,
again, I'll get to that in a little bit, but we have more to
yeah.
get through.
One little tangent before we move on, because it's something I
Mm,
just thought of when we were talking about the Night Sisters.
mhm.
Night Sisters are weird because oh, hang on, my ear, itchy ear, itchy
That's
ear.
it. That
Sorry.
happens.
Night
Mhm.
Sisters are weird because like I put this in the notes. I'm actually not sure if magic with the K, uh,
Magics.
the magics
Mhm.
is actually the Force, or is it something more connected to Dathomir? But I guess the
Mhm.
Night Sisters can use it. I mean, the Great Mothers can use it in Ahsoka. And then there's
Mhm.
kind of, and then I feel like, although maybe this is Legends, maybe there's a connection to Mortis. I mean, we know
Mm.
there's a connection to Mortis now because the Night
Yeah.
Sisters, the
True.
Great Mothers, come from Peridia.
Mhm.
Um, and there was once a great kingdom of the witches. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm actually not quite sure what's going on with the Night Sisters, and maybe the Ahsoka season 2 will go more into that if we
Mhm.
are going back to Dathomir. So I guess whatever power they have maybe is more of a planet thing because it definitely feels
Yeah.
like that power comes from it's like Ventress gets to live because she's in the waters of Dathomir, and Dathomir just has these properties.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big weird tangent. I got nothing. I just like night
Yeah.
sisters are weird and cool.
There's also, I mean, virgins in the forest that isn't really explored. There's a concept that isn't too explored very often, but
maybe.
Yeah.
But let's get on to the things you want to talk about, which are syncretism and
syncretism and enculturation.
So, Matthew,
yeah.
what are these words and what do they mean?
So, and the video you mentioned uses them quite a bit and kind of uses them interchangeably. They are and they aren't. Basically, the reality is, well, the fact is, believe it or not, religious communities exist today in the real world. We have to exist in the real world, and there are often more or less two ways of doing that. One is to be very sectarian. One is to be so against the rest of the culture that we just develop our own internal culture. Another is to
every leftist group ever.
Well, I was going to say it's very, very conservative groups, actually.
You'd be surprised what you find in like communists.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's kind of a political sectarianism, but I mean more like traditional Catholics and ultra Orthodox Jews and others. So that's kind of more what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And then there's also, but for the most part, it's always being I think, okay, we live in the culture. We're part of the world as it is today. I live in 21st century North America.
The Pope books his flights online like everyone else.
The Vatican, the Pope himself doesn't book his flights, but the Vatican has a website.
Pope Francis might have, if you believe the movie.
I wouldn't doubt it, but the Pope speaks English and Spanish and Italian, and but also talks about AI, and is addressing, has addressed labor concerns and whatnot. But also, I have a Star Wars podcast. I have 2 Star Wars podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. It's and doing these podcasts, but also to skirt the line between maintaining what is essential about our faith, what is common about what, say, the Christian faith is through time, through history, and what needs to adapt to our own time and culture and context. Mm-hmm. And so if you're trying to navigate that in a way, it's called enculturation. It's kind of the technical term, and saying, okay, well, we're going to have, again, this is also connected to ritual, right? We're going to have our liturgies in English. We're going to use contemporary music. We're going to, really address contemporary concerns about politics and society and just psychology. And we're going to learn from psychology and sociology and from other religions and whatnot. And that's clearly, and we see that in Star Wars quite a bit. But again, those are some real world examples of enculturation. Syncretism is sort of like that, but it's similar. It's similar type of adaptation, but it goes full bore over the line into this is a fusion of 2 probably oil and water religions, but trying to do our best. Well, not trying to, but like fusion of 2 oil and water religions that have elements of both. So some classic examples, usually, and this is more just we can study this as a religious phenomenon of I think there's a connection between Christianity and Voodooism, for example. I think in Haiti and some other parts of the Caribbean, for example, is just these rituals. Even though I think the Day of the Dead is primarily enculturation, but especially the art style, but it probably borrows from some Aztec beliefs. I wouldn't, or Aztec practices, Aztec, ancient and Inca and Maya and Mayan predispositions, if you will.
Right.
The point there, though, is that I mean, syncretism. We try not to do it, but it is unavoidable. We can't help but, like I was saying, consider our own religious beliefs and practices in light of, this is, I guess, enculturation. One's the positive term, one's the more negative term, if you will. In light of our contemporary concerns and assumptions and priorities. And so that priority on letting letting a liturgy be accessible and in English, and welcoming everyone in, because it's important for people to understand and engage and be active. We can call that enculturation. We can say that is just, we can say, this contemporary Western idea of people understanding and knowing what's going on and being aware, that is a good thing, and we should adapt to it. People called it syncretism, saying we're giving into the culture. That was the accusation. That's been the accusation hurled at at women's ordination. It's the accusation hurled at LGBTQ inclusion. Right? It's saying we're giving into just the assumptions of our time, and they'll go away later. Queer people are here to stay, by the way, is the fact. So, that is it. We got to make an argument, though. Is how is this connected to? How is same-sex marriage connected to Christian marriage? And is an expression of Christian marriage? We do want to make that claim. So that's enculturation. I mean, another huge example of syncretism. I mean, any kind of Christian nationalism that you hear, especially now with this kind of Americanist Christianity, is
God and football are my gods.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of the caricature. But I think even, that God is blessing Trump, who's going to make America great again, and as if making America great again is the highest good, right? And they can say, "Oh no, it's just for a time. We just live in our country and our society." That seems to be the only thing they care about, and so very selective about what parts of the Bible they read and what they do. And
Jesus packs heat. That's the part they love.
Yeah, like kind of the things they pray about, and it is. There are some more blatant examples. There's less blatant examples. There's more subtle examples. But this didn't come up in a vacuum, right? Who was it that, like, all those folks who came? The singer who is big in charismatic Pentecostal circles, and is also a big Trump, like Sean Foyt, I think his name is. Those kind, that I would call a form of syncretism, and in the negative form of syncretism, especially because it's so allied to state power, and that's the problem, is it becomes purely an instrument of state power, and that's and purely restricted to context. And so that's why, oddly enough, that's why I always wonder about Jedi of the Republic. And
here's a question, Matthew.
Well, just let me finish my thought. Is with why I brought up the thing with Obi-Wan saying my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. Well, no, your allegiance is to the Force. It leads you to support the Republic and democracy. That's fine.
I would argue, though, that's a very Christian view, and that's not always been true. What about Islam?
What is? Well, exactly. That's kind of my point. That's my point. Is
Islamic Emirates with a state? It lasted for 89 years.
And that's actually kind of my point. Is why why is his allegiance to the Republic and to democracy? It just, in his context and in my context, my Christian faith leads me to think democracy is a good thing and more. But to your point, that's not universal to those of us who prioritize the metaphysical. I mean, we all prioritize the metaphysical. That's another thing. And that's getting partly what Tolkien's getting at with not having a church. Everyone has a metaphysical belief. It's just some are more I mean that nowadays it's, well, at least from the last few centuries, it's being, can that metaphysical belief be proven? Even the need to prove it empirically is a metaphysical belief, right? That's over the last century what we've realized. Oh, wait a minute. It's all, it's never purely rational. There's always a belief in something, including science, right? And that's not necessarily bad.
Islamic countries were very scientific. They were actually more advanced than the Christians.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that
they made math.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was a Catholic priest who discovered put the sun in the center of the universe, right? The Galileo incident was something else entirely. But I mean, all that to say, there are more robust forms of Christianity than the syncretistic and Islam and religion than syncretistic beliefs, both on right and left. Right.
Well, here's the question to go back to Star Wars for a hot second. In terms of syncretism, and to go back to the original question, what do normal people think? There's no such thing in Star Wars as Jediism.
Right.
You're either a Jedi or you're not. Right? I guess Wookiee Jedi kind of mixed in like their belief in like the trees and whatever Kashyyyk belief. But it's not like there's a Jedi. There's no Jediism. Like we call it the Jedi religion, but there's no Jediism. Like there aren't like regular people going like, I believe in Jediism.
Yeah, I mean the closest thing to the Church of the Force and the Guardians of the Wills, right?
And even then, it's like the Force is the Force. There's no like we don't believe in different forces. I mean, maybe Night Sisters believe in the magics, but that's the Dathomirian thing. And the Sith believe in the dark side, which is just another side of the Force, really.
Yeah.
So, which also I guess exists. It's not like the Jedi believe in like I believe in the Father, the Daughter, and the Son, and the Holy Anakin. And like the other groups, like I don't believe in those three. I believe in the Luke and the Leia, the Han, and the Holy R2D2. Although Ewoks do believe that C-3PO is a god.
Is it that census in the UK where the guy put out Jedi and enough people did and it became a registered religion or something?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but it's like anyway. the Jedi. We typically like Jedi religion, and it's like it's not like I can say like I'm a Catholic and like not have to like do anything. I just can say that like I'm a Catholic and that's it.
I mean, there are plenty of those too. But
I mean, whereas if in the Star Wars universe you're either a Jedi or you're not, right? Yeah. I mean, you can pretend to be like the guy from Obi-Wan Kenobi for like a hot second.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Or Jod. But but they're just pretending. But I mean, like, it's not like I can like you like someone in Star Wars Galaxy can't just go like, I'm a Jedi. I'd go to Jediism, and that's it, right? Like I can't, like where other religions are like, I'm Jewish. Or
but again, there's the Church of the Force and Guardians of the Wills.
True, right. But I guess that's also the problem without multiple gods in Star Wars, or even like it's just kind of all the Force. Yeah, I mean, or different names for the Force, and even then, the story always goes like, Luke's like, oh, that's just the Force, or like the thread is the Force, right?
Yeah.
The thing that Luke meets on like that one planet from that one book about the sea is the Force.
Yeah. Well, it's just a short story, I think, and can do.
It's that Legends of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
That one.
Like, if you see Dom's screen, you can see it.
It's a good book. But it's sort of like it's it's weird. It's weird that Star Wars doesn't really debate different gods. I mean, maybe different interpretations, but. There is truly just the Force, and everyone kind of uses it a little differently depending on who you are. And even then, we kind of realize it's kind of same principle, really.
Yeah. And that's kind of enculturation, that kind of idea, and that's what calls it syncretism. The video, it really is more enculturation.
But in terms of religion and the state,
Mhm.
religion and the state have always been the same thing. How many Roman emperors need the
True.
Pope to crown them? Uh,
I
you
mean,
know,
famously only one, but
then you got Charlemagne. You got all the Holy Roman emperors.
yeah.
You got the. I
Well,
mean, I guess.
Charlemagne and Otto are the big two.
Yeah, but there were
But
ones
anyway.
after that. I mean, you got Napoleon, although he kind of wanted to
Yeah.
not do that.
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
Or what about like the Russian Orthodox Church and the czars
Yeah.
interlinking with each other because they were that Russia was we are an Orthodox empire. That's how we unite all our peoples.
Hmm.
We sometimes respect the Jews, and other times we don't, depending on who the czar is at the time.
Yeah.
France for a long time we are a Catholic kingdom.
Oh yeah.
Every the Church of England, the Queen is the head of the church, and now Charlie is the head of the church
Right.
because Henry wanted his divorce.
It's more
Um,
complicated than that. Actually, no, it's more complicated than that precisely because of what you're getting at. Yeah.
let me see. I'm trying to think of
Well,
most
through
nations for a long time were not secular nations. They were
yeah.
our kingdom is the a
Hmm.
lot of people say that one of the big things about Islam and one of the big reasons why it spread was it united a bunch of Arab tribes together, and
Hmm.
it's one of the things that kept all those tribes together. It's like we're all Sunni Muslim, or
Yeah.
except if you're in Iran, then you're Shia Muslim or Iraq.
Hmm.
It's more complicated.
Yeah.
So religion and the state
Oh
have always
sure.
been very
But
intertwined.
here's the question:
Mhm.
is well, I mean, this has been the thing, the back and forth, which is the priority? Is it that a pope? Well, a pope wouldn't have allegiance. Is it say the archbishop is his loyalty to the crown or to God? Is
Sometimes just to
Kennedy?
get the points, the Pope.
Kennedy had to swear allegiance to pledge to the Constitution,
Mhm.
and he was like, "But what if he has the Pope calling him?" And that literally did happen. John 23rd was like, "Hey, Bay of Pigs thing, figure this out, boys." But um, yeah, that's the thing is even in the Middle Ages, the medieval worldview was, or at least the ideal was that the king had allegiance to his God-given duty to rule, and therefore, the king's allegiance was to God. Whereas, it sounds like Obi-Wan saying, the archbishop, his allegiance is to the crown or to whatever, the chancellor or the republic. Yeah, it was just it's just one thing in my favorite film of all time. Um,
And what's
that
funny is
kind of
George would probably say that, yeah, he's supposed to have his allegiance to the Republic. That's the whole point. I made them Jedi cops. It's
well,
the whole
yeah. So I mean, that's maybe that's the thing I got to land on. Then is that's the problem is that his allegiance was to the republic, which made it so much easier for the chancellor of the republic to get him into the wrong place at the wrong time. Ideally on Utapau. Ideally, Cody would have taken him down on Utapau. But
no, but I'm
also,
saying George says that's a good thing, though. That's George.
right, interesting.
And if George had done
I
the
was thinking about that.
sequels, he would have said, like, yeah, the Jedi Republic back in power.
Mm,
Luke's the head of the Jedi Order, Leia's the Chancellor. Skywalker family rule, let's go, and good
yeah,
times ahead. Because that's
yeah,
what George has always said about Luke Skywalker since
mhm,
Return of the Jedi. It's like he didn't want to be mayor; he wanted to be a police officer.
interesting. Yeah, that hasn't aged well, but back in his time, maybe it was aged a bit better.
So as far
Mhm.
as George is concerned, I think I think George is trying to say, yeah, that's the ideal Jedi. That makes
Yeah,
Kenobi the ideal Jedi. His allegiance to Republic to democracy, as a Jedi should be.
interesting. I was thinking about that. Anyway,
I mean, if you read a bunch of
it's
his
a good
books,
tangent, but
it's
yeah,
very much. I think that's George versus other people who don't see it that way. I think more people do see it your way, but I think also
yeah.
George was very much more. The Republic can be good. It just needs to get rid of Palpatine and the corruption.
Well, and that gets back to, and this is a tangent that I want to get back on track in a minute, but
Okay.
the whole are the Jedi heroes? Jedi in the prequels, are they heroes? Are they villains? Are they victims? And you would say they're well, George would say they're heroes.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's easy to see how they're victims. I wouldn't say they're villains, but a lot of people do. And I
They're
don't
heroes
agree
and
with that.
victims because
Yeah,
they're victims of Palpatine. But
yeah.
everyone's a victim of Palpatine, so
Well, there's that.
so.
Yeah,
But let's go into a little bit about syncretism and enculturation 'cause we do
like
have some stuff.
examples, more or other examples of that enculturation. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, we got the Wookiees with the trees, and we
Hmm.
see a little bit of that in the High Republic, how they feel about
Yeah.
nature and whatnot. That's always
Hmm.
been a big thing.
Hmm.
Again, I'm never quite sure about Night Sisters and magics. It's a weird one for me. Uh Witches in the thread. The witches
Hmm.
think the Force is called the thread. It's very
Hmm.
much their thing. Um, the Knights of Ren calling the dark side the shadow.
Yeah.
That's in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic where they call it
Hmm.
the shadow. So there's another dark side uh difference outside
Hmm.
of just the
True.
Sith. I you know what most places don't care about the religious force as a certain organized religion. Just like it's the Force.
Yeah.
This thing called the Force. There's no like Tatooine version of the Force. Granted, I don't even know if Tatooine really cares.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also the whatever the Huts believe.
you know,
Money is
uh,
the force for them.
exactly.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then I guess depending if you're in Republic space, I guess maybe I guess if you are, I guess if you believe in public space, there is more of a Jediism
Yeah.
thing, unless maybe you're a native Gungan. I wonder if the Gungans have a religion.
Yeah.
If they're
I think they do. Like, well, by the gods, right? The gods
that's true.
demand life, dead, or whatever.
Your gods, yeah, oh yeah, your gods demand. Like, I wonder who the Gungan gods are. I want to know who the Gungan gods
Yeah.
are.
Find
That'd
out.
be cool.
Um, I mean, even in the High Republic, there's like the Jedi themselves. It's a sign of the diversity of that era. The song or the sea uh or the trees. I mean, that's Buriaga, the great tree, which is going back to my point about Dagobah, certainly also about Kashyyyk, with the teeming with life. Yeah, the fire. I think well, you have Osha and that kid in the Acolyte, but also probably Bell. I think has the fire.
the fire.
Yeah, different. That's the thing. Different analogies because
Mhm.
it is hard to grab on to this very ethereal concept that, like we were saying before, it's a wisdom. It's not magic in the same sense. It's not a superpower. It's certainly not. It's not just technology. Hyperspace and other technologies depend on it. Um, the Republic, no, the Vipers, or whatever, not Viper vectors depend on it. But yeah, you got the thread. I do think with the Night Sister, I think it is magic. I think everything we're supposed to believe that everything that is supernatural in Star Wars
Mhm.
is supposed to be the Force. It's just different ways of relating to it.
I
And
swear that
because the
Headland
Night
said magic
Sisters,
and the thing were something else, but maybe I don't remember.
I mean, why is Asajj able to use the white Asajj and Maul?
Mhm.
I think they're just all attuned. It's just that with the Night Sisters, um, except for Marin, oddly enough, it's meant to be manipulative and controlling. Although
Well,
that gets more complicated. You're right. You're about to say it gets more complicated because it's a feminine energy that gets accused of being grasping for power, but it might just be the mystery and the um, you know the
okay.
wisdom
So
of that too. So go ahead.
small tangent, and then we'll move on. I promise.
Hmm.
Maul and Ventress can definitely use the Force,
Hmm.
and I probably, to some extent, I'm sure the Talzin and the Great Mother can as well. But
And Savage Press.
it's a lot of it. But the
Hmm.
magics always feels different to me because I mean, look at what Talzin does to Maul with getting him robot legs. He
Yeah,
literally creates legs for him.
yeah,
He has his legs to quote Force Gump. And takes out like stuff in his head that's growing him
yeah.
crazy. Um, and then in the final episode of Ahsoka, not only does the magics
Hmm.
resurrect a bunch of dead stormtroopers in zombie form, they also create a dagger out of thin air and green
Yeah,
smoke. So
a sword. And,
either the magic is supercharged the Force, or the magic might be something else. I don't know anymore. That's a
well, they don't explain it intentionally. Don't explain it, which is good because it makes it more of a mystery.
that's true.
So,
Season 2 Ahsoka, get on, show us some weirdness.
I mean, I want to know. Show us what Mortis is about.
That's true.
Or show us more of Mortis. Yeah.
I mean, are the Mortis gods just people who got so in depth with the Force they just kind of fused and became meta humans? It's sort of like the
Oh.
X-Men where you have like mutants and super mutants kind of like gods in some way.
Mhm.
Read some well, if you don't read X-Men, X-Men's complicated in the comics.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
it's weird. But yeah,
Mhm.
and then I guess finally, last point. Tradition innovation. Tradition
Yeah.
innovation. I mean, we got all the Jedi traditions. We definitely I think Young Jedi Adventure shows like, oh, look at these cute
Yeah.
little Jedi traditions and
Well,
all
I
that
want to
stuff.
explain that because it
Okay.
doesn't have to do with that. That has more to do with. I mean, this is a whole other topic. But innovation. I talked about adaptation. Innovation, meaning change, meaning how to take what has been consistent through time and adapt it for our time. Of course, that process of continually adapting for different times is how tradition is made. I'm trying to think of an example. Again, there's developed this tradition now of having the liturgies in English, that we're going to pass down. We're going to adapt into different kinds of English as the language evolves. That's what happened. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s for in since the Reformation, liturgies were in a more elevated English, and then in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they said no, let's have more contemporary English, and so that still is going to continue on, even though it's going to be the same form of the liturgy. And so, the thing with the Jedi, well, that's another thing with tradition, right? Is I talked about communities of interpretation, tradition and innovation together. The reason there isn't a Jedi sacred text is because instead there is every master trains up a Padawan to then be grow beyond them, right? They are what we grow beyond, and to grow beyond is to receive what was handed down, is receive what you've learned, and literally pass on. Literally, the word tradition, pass on what you have learned. The word tradition means to pass on. That's the Latin. And in the process of doing that, you have to think, okay, what do we need now? What do the Jedi need now? What does Rey need to do now? In the moment, and to go off and help the Resistance on Crate, and then what she does 10 years later, that she has a very difficult set of decisions to make, I think, and hopefully she doesn't do them alone. But Luke, we see Luke hewing too close to tradition and not adapting adequately to the time, and that is partly why.
I still want to know if that's how true that is not, or isn't. I still want to know how true that is or not, or we just don't have enough information.
Well, in terms of like speaking of Adam Christopher, just how clearly he kept the whole master Padawan,
kept distance with his
detachment,
nephew.
This detachment and probably celibate community and whatnot. I just replicated it. No, it is what he knew, but he didn't do enough work in deciding, okay, is this what the galaxy needs right now? This is what we need.
Well, here's the question, Matthew. Here's the question, though.
Let me just finish my thought.
I think I want to finish this. I think more important.
Okay, fine.
Is it the problem with the rules, or with the problem that he picked his nephew? And if he picked some random stranger, he might have gotten a better handle on it. Is it Kylo's problem? Is it just Kylo's?
Yeah, all of the above.
I don't agree with that, quite frankly.
Well, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, I do think. Well, here's the thing, though, is the problem is that he hewed to the rules when the fact that he picked his nephew meant he probably should have been a little softer.
That's okay. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like that he applied the rule
Mhm.
in the wrong way for the wrong situation. Now, of course, there's Snoke whispering and Paul Palpatine, whoever whispering in Kylo in Ben's ear. You know,
Mhm.
there's Ben having his personality wanting to go off and explore, be like his father,
Mhm.
and being young and impetuous. But
Fair.
then there's Luke having that moment of weakness, right? There's all these different things. I just think my point is Rey is going to have to
Mhm.
look at this story as she debates with Luke. She says on Octo, look, Jedi tradition
Mhm.
ended up saving Anakin too, right? Luke says Jedi tradition. So this is a moment where Luke wants to completely break with tradition, abolish the Jedi,
Right.
end the tradition. And he says, because it created Vader, because it created Kylo Ren, uh, because he feels personally responsible for engulfing the galaxy in the First Order,
Mhm.
which we can see is not a reasonable but understandable perspective feeling. It's not accurate.
Mhm.
Anyway, Ray debates and says, no, from the other side. Well, that's the thing. Ray from the other side saying,
Mhm.
actually, there's stuff to preserve and hold on to and pass on. And look, I've got the books. And that's again the big thing about her taking the books. She has everything she needs. It's just she's gonna have to read these books and figure out for herself and figure out with her new community what she needs to do. And that is innovation. That
Right.
is, so yeah, it really is. I mean, the Last Jedi is that is the to me that my mind that is the theme of the Last Jedi. Luke and Kylo Ren want to let the past die and kill it if they have to, because Luke spent so much time holding on to tradition too strongly. I think, and just not applying it in a way that in a flexible way. Whereas innovation brings that kind of flexibility without breaking the tradition, right? We
Well,
still,
Mhm.
my church, we say the creeds in English.
Mhm.
We say the creeds, right? We listen to the Bible. We have the Eucharist. We have these things that Christians have done for 2,000 years,
Mhm.
but we all do them. That's again the enculturation. We do them in ways that are meaningful and needed uh, for us to grow and to use this. Hopefully, this isn't too much of an inside term to grow in our faith, to actually live as our allegiance to God as opposed to what I mean. The thing, God as opposed to making money and getting successful and all that other
Oh,
nonsense. That
obviously.
you know.
I mean, that's always been sort of the debate I've always had because I feel like again,
Mhm.
the Lucas interpretation, if
Yeah,
I read all the interviews, is Lucas says the rules are cool. Like he is pro the Jedi rules.
yeah,
He just thinks Anakin was the problem. Anakin is just he made bad decisions and he did
yeah,
stupid things.
yeah.
Like, 'cause again, I think
Well, he broke the rule.
He
That's
broke
the
the rule.
thing.
He broke the
He
rule and he
he
paid for
he
it.
got got with Padme, right?
Right. He made the
So,
selfish choice and paid the price.
but
Uh,
he was in a context where he had all the supports, right? That's the thing with the celibacy, right? Is
Not just
um
celibacy. It's less about celibacy and more just like I want to own Padme as a person.
yeah, that's I mean that's never good with the rules, right?
Right. I mean that's Anakin's attachment, and that's why his attachment is bad because it's not like I want to be with this person I really like. It's more like I
Mhm.
want to own this person. And I know that sounds really
Yeah.
creepy to say, but it's
No,
true.
it is creepy. It's
But
toxic.
that's
I mean, that's the
but
thing.
that's Anakin.
I mean, that's another thing,
Like I can.
if they had gone to the lake house, left the war,
Mhm.
um, had the kids, Obi-Wan said he would have supported them. They would have had to leave. He would have had to leave the order. She would have had to leave the Senate,
Mhm.
but at least they would have been able to live in peace. Until
I actually wonder
Palpatine
if
came.
that would have happened because
Well,
I
no, Palpatine would have come for them, but
no, not even Palpatine. I think Matthew, we underestimate how much Anakin is pretty much like a Charlie Kirk watching kind of guy. He is that kind of. He watches. He has the red hat. He watches the that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I mean,
What do you
watch
mean?
he's kind of one of those he's kind of like the right wing online kind of. I mean, look at the way he talked in Attack of the Clones of like, I
Yeah.
think we should get all the senators together and make
Mhm.
someone
Yeah.
pound some heads together.
Oh, true. Oh, Charlie. Okay, real world Charlie Kirk. I thought it was some fictional character. I don't pay
No,
attention to. I don't pay attention to right wing YouTubers, so it's okay.
you know,
I'm not missing anything.
no, you're not. But I think rewatch Attack of the Clones and like
Oh no,
he's
I don't
kind,
disagree. But
kind,
that's why he doesn't
right.
take the better choice, right?
But true.
It's because he's predisposed against it. He says, "No, my new empire. I can just have everything I want. Gonna, I can overthrow him. Overthrow.
Palpatine
Obviously,
just wants to make
overthrow.
the galaxy great again.
Yeah.
I watched it on the Fox News.
The Fox HoloNet.
The Fox Holonet. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think I mean, I think in some ways George would have just had Luke done the Jedi traditions, and it would have been okay.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, is it the rules or is it just Kylo Ren and maybe Luke should not have picked his nephew?
Sure.
Which,
Well, here's the question then.
Mhm.
Is that a more? I mean, here to bring it meta.
Meta.
Is that a more compelling story? I mean, you can make a compelling story out of it, I'm sure, but I think it's a really interesting story. I mean, I love The Last Jedi
Mhm.
because of the way it grapples with this question about
Right.
the need to innovate and what everything that happened
Mhm.
in that academy in Ben's hut, right? So
I
yeah.
mean, here's kind of like a kind of a challenging question because I know
Mhm.
everyone wants it, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna throw a wrench into people's fan fiction,
Sure.
and then we'll start to wrap up and we'll get to the final parts. I
Mhm.
know we're running out of time. Should Ray pick Finn as her apprentice, or are Ray and Finn too close? And maybe Ray should have someone with a little bit more distance in her life, someone a little bit more, she can be more objective with,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, you know,
Mhm.
right? Should Jedi really be taking on? It's kind of the old saying of like,
Yeah.
did Luke take on Ben because he was the perfect first Padawan, or
Mhm.
it's like, well, my nephew's here, he got the Force, I gotta do this for Han and Leia.
Might as well.
Got that mighty Skywalker blood. We can continue the dynasty. You know,
Yeah.
oh shoot, maybe I'm too close to the pupil in kind of a, like,
Mhm.
who knows how Anakin would have reacted if Qui-Gon was his Padawan. I do think good, even the I do think good stories though kind of make it out to be
Mhm.
like, yeah, Obi-Wan should not have trained him. He was not ready.
Right.
He was doing it for Qui-Gon, but Obi-Wan's like
Yeah.
the older brother who has to be a dad, and he's not very good at it.
Yeah. That's part of
Uh,
it. Um,
so
well, I'll go take your question one further with Ray and Finn.
okay.
Should there be even the Master Padawan thing generally? Should it be like one Master, one Padawan? Like
I mean,
that. I mean, that's the thing. Everything's up in the air. See what sticks, right? That's what's interesting about this. It would be difficult for Ray, but it's interesting. Like, because again, the Master Padawan system depends upon this whole thousands upon thousands of nights in this really well organized, as best we can, institution uh, with a clear central hierarchy that is kind of how to dance their head on a pin until they go to Quen. How many angels of Diego can dance on the head of a pin until they go to Quen and try and be more part of the galaxy? But yeah, this whole Master Padawan. So, like, can Finn? Well, I guess maybe a similar question: how effective will it be for Ray to train Finn at all?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
because like, I mean, they're around the same age. It'd be like if
yeah,
I taught you, if you were my apprentice, Matthew. I think you're older than me by quite
that's
a
true.
bit. Um,
Yeah, about 10 years.
so
No,
it's
no,
other,
not 10 years. So,
so it's like, you know, they're around the same age. It's kind of weird when you're
you're
like,
also friends.
they're also friends.
You know.
The only time I felt like the only time it kind of worked with an older per pupil was Dooku and Sidious. Is Count Dooku older than Palpatine at that point? I don't know. They're definitely
Yeah.
more, but I mean, I guess their relationship
Also,
was
that's
always
the dark side. They
that's
have
dark
other
side,
ways.
right? But Go
Palpatine
on.
isn't so considered with Dooku's psychosocial development. I don't think.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But it's like Obi-Wan was an adult,
Mhm.
more or less, and Anakin was an
Yeah.
11-year-old boy when he started. Luke
Right.
Skywalker was an adult, and Ben
Mhm.
was preteen, probably, maybe a little older than Anakin.
But
I always get
also his family. You
and
know.
family, right? I mean,
You know.
Grogu was a baby, kind of. I
Yeah.
say baby, kind of, because there's a little bit of a question of like, is Grogu actually a baby, or is he
Oh,
just emotionally stunted as a baby because of his trauma?
yeah.
Um,
When will he
but
actually speak is another question. That'd be weird.
although I guess Din's teaching. I mean, I guess he sees Din as his dad, so
Yeah.
even though Din's probably technically younger,
I mean, the thing is, I mean, there is a parent-child relationship in the
Mhm.
Master Padawan. It is there.
Right?
It's just
So what do
a
you do
little
when you get a
stricter.
master Padawan who's like both are in the 30s and they're just starting, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why they never do that. I mean, well, but a
They did
close
in
example would
Legends.
be Vernestra and Imri,
That's
right?
true.
She's what 16, he's 14. like,
That's true.
like
That's.
he never called her master. He just called her Vern.
I guess it worked out for them. They got
Yeah,
they
and that's
were
credit to Imri, I think, a lot. But
well. I
anyway,
mean, this is
which
why
is
I always
also to
talk.
say, High Republic was actually a time of a lot of innovation, a lot of flexibility.
That's true.
You know, it had a
Well, that's
very
why.
healthy relationship between tradition and innovation.
Right. I mean, that's why I'm always a little more skeptical when people say, "Oh, we just got to toss out the rules." I'm like, "Well, it worked for Emery. What? Maybe Anakin and
No,
Captain are just not great people."
well, no, that's the same thing as saying, "Oh, Jedi celibacy is why they felt the dark side or whatever, or why they, that's it's a similar kind of thing."
The Jedi are allowed to have relationships. They just can't marry or have attachment. George said so.
Yes,
I've posted this many times.
especially
Um,
Padawans.
yes. Oh gosh.
Mhm.
Obi-Wan needs to give the talk.
I
We
want to see Obi Teen. Give me Obi Teen.
I mean, oh well. I mean, look at Obi-Teen for a hot second, right?
Yeah,
Obi-Wan could have done it, but look at Obi-Wan when Maul literally crushes Satine. What does Obi-Wan
yeah.
do? Does he fly into a rage? Does he give in to his hate? And like, nope. Obi-Wan's like, I'm not happy, but I am a Jedi. Maul,
Well,
you
he
cannot
definitely
break.
agrees.
He grieved, but there's a difference between
Yeah.
grieving and like falling to the dark side. He still is
Yes.
which I think shows a lot more of. Like,
Mhm.
I think Obi-Wan is for all his does have faults, but I do think Obi-Wan is meant to be more of an ideal Jedi
Yes,
in the prequel and
I
era
agree
than
with
I
that.
think fans want to make him out to be a lot of the
I
time.
agree with that. Yeah.
But on that note,
Mhm.
is there anything else that we need to cover on this?
I mean, just the kind of final thoughts on all of this. Yeah, I mean, there's clearly it's hard to pinpoint exact parallels to things. There's hopefully opportunities for more stories. Again, I'd still like to see what it would mean for senatorial attaches and I don't know construction workers to believe in the force um more than just you know the adrons cooperating with the Jedi or pilots cooperating with the Jedi. I'd like to see that, but
Imagine
yep,
cooperating with the Jedi all the time and never believing in the Force.
right.
I
But
guess a ton.
that just doesn't get explored enough, and I'd like so I still like that, but after talking about this for what an hour and a half, whatever, there's still plenty to mine
Uh,
here in terms
so
of
I have one more
connections to
thing.
religious views and religious practices. Yeah, go ahead.
Something I'd like to see, which is something Legends actually did quite a good job of,
Mhm.
is non-force sensitives who do technically work for the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because in Legends there's this whole core,
Hmm.
which sometimes is made up of kind of
Hmm.
flunkies, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
who either didn't develop force powers very well or didn't pass the
Hmm.
trials, but the Jedi just don't kick them out.
Yeah.
They just like I think we actually see this in one of the Inquisitor books too, of like a janitor or like someone who's like working in the agricultural gardens in the temple,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, do the Jedi? I mean, and there's a librarian in the in that Jedi Council book that John Jackson Miller wrote. Although I think he
Oh
was
yeah.
evil at the end, so
Well, he's just being duped by Palpatine.
Right, but we know that the Jedi do hire
Yeah,
non-Jedi to work for them, so I wanna see more
yeah.
about that, like, it's like, not everyone who works for the Catholic Church is technically a priest. It's like,
No,
they have their bureaucrats and their janitors and their volunteers.
media professionals.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It
lots of lay people.
so, I guess they believe in Jediism even if they don't believe in if they don't have the Force itself.
Ideally, ideally. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's kinda hard because, again,
Hmm.
these religions here's a great thing to say. A
Yeah.
lot of the religions we see in Star Wars aren't mass religions. They're either
Yes, that's.
these Knight Templars
Hmm.
or these little cults, and sometimes
Yeah,
empires,
yeah,
for lack who are already in charge, these theocracies, for lack
yeah.
of a better term. But there's
That's a
not
great way
like
of putting it. Yeah.
there is no mass religion in Star Wars. There's no,
Hmm.
like Christianity and Islam and Judaism are and the other, and quite frankly, all the religions these days
Yeah, I
are
mean
mass
Buddhism in Hinduism in Eastern countries too.
are mass religions. You kind of anyone can belong to them. You can become a
Yeah,
Christian right now. Just say you are. Boom, you're done. There you are.
oh, it's a little more complicated than that, but
I know, but I mean in the lazy sense of the word, right? But anyone can attend a church. I can go to a church right now. I
yeah,
got a
yeah,
bunch of them across the
you
street.
can walk right in. Yeah,
Right? Where
hmm,
Star Wars doesn't have that. I
yeah,
think that'd be something cool to see. Maybe like
hmm,
a fill in the power vacuum. It's like is Rey's trying to start up the Jedi Order again. An actual mass religion pops up everywhere. That's like with a uniformity to it. And
yeah, like across the galaxy, or if there are mass religions, like you talk about the Eldani, like the Aki
those seem more like
on
planetary
yeah,
moons,
they're more localized. Yeah,
right? But like where
yeah,
anyone can be, like from a Mon Cal to a moon, could all be part of this mass
hmm,
religion and go to the mega
or
churches.
Mandalorians. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So yeah,
yeah,
that'd be something cool. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, and I hope Star Wars continues to expand its universe as it makes
hmm,
more movies.
yes. Uh, Fun times. Good kind of for Christ Sake Anakin discussion. Yeah, good place to wrap things up. Please do everyone let us know what you thought. What do you think of lived religions in Star Wars? About what do you think about Mark Rowe as the main character of the High Republic and Star Trek actors in Star Wars, and also um, uh, Master of Evil. Check out that excerpt and let us know what you think. There we go. Please do let us know what you thought. Please do comment below. Those comment boxes ain't going anywhere. Please do chime in and give this video a like and a share. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Joel, thanks for leading this very vigor of feed esque discussion. Uh, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I do enjoy doing this. I'm not a
Hmm.
professional theologian, but I always find it interesting.
I mean, I'm not a
Um,
professional either, but yeah. So good.
you can find me at JID20234 on Blue Sky, JID20234 on Blue Sky. And of course, I'm always on the Star Wars Underworld Discord where you can ask me all sorts of things, questions, comments, concerns. I just posted on the paper can some very interesting tidbits about the Acolyte.
Yes.
If you can go read it there from the Art
Mhm.
of Acolyte book coming out next year. And yeah, hang
Yeah.
out with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask Joel what his favorite dessert is. There you
Yeah.
go. Do that. There's your homework. You can find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at MNEUG1138. You can find out what my favorite dessert is at beaches.foodie. It's chocolate ice cream or chocolate cake. Um,
No.
Bless your timeline with all that. Check that out. Also, on Twitter, so on the Bird app, NAUG485. Yeah, I'm in the Discord too. Give me a tag. Why not? Yeah, and also, of course, check out Tractor Beam on Blue Sky, the tractorbeam.biscuit.social, and at the SWU, also on Instagram and yeah, Blue Sky are the two main places there. Yeah, let's should do it. What are we talking about next week? I think we forgot to talk about it. We'll
Did you
let you know.
want to talk
Sure,
about government continuity in Star Wars?
sure. Successor states and government
Yeah.
continuity. Another heavy poli sci topic. There we go. We'll do that next
I
week.
can talk about legends. Yeah.
Yes. There we go. But yeah, it's gonna be good discussion. And again, Tractor Beam this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We're going full sequels there. Joel will be joining us. So you'll see that image there over that way. Yeah, along with Chris Abbott, of course. So yes, but yeah, next week, successor states and government continuity and whatnot in Star Wars. Until then, just like the Fallen Star and just Star of the Beacon after the end of Fallen Star, not quite like Han and Luke at the end of A New Hope. Let's blow this thing and head home.